Today I'm going to show you how to make Jun Kombucha. It's like regular kombucha, but it feeds on green tea and honey, and it brews quickly at cooler temperatures. This kombucha has been brewing for 2 days on the counter. I'm going to pour out a little bit into a cup. And taste it. It should be a little bit tart. It should not taste yet like vinegar. When it's ready, you're ready to continue with your continuous brew by making your sweet tea for the next batch. First, you're going to put a plastic bag on your hand, reach into your jar, lift out your Scoby, which looks a little bit like a jellyfish. It has the baby layers on the top and the mother on the bottom. Put it in a bowl temporarily and pour in the starter tea that you're going to use for the next batch. I'm going to make a quart-sized batch, so I'm going to pour out a 1/4 cup of starter tea, and it can just go in the bowl with your Scoby. If you've gotten a Scoby from a friend, this is where you're starting. The liquid is called starter tea. Okay, you can set that aside, and you can make your green tea. Green tea is delicate. You want to use less than boiling water. I'm going to do a quick brew method, and I'm going to use the full amount of tea for the batch. I'm making a quart-sized batch, so I'll use 2 teaspoons of green tea, and I'm going to just use 1/4 of the water. So I'm just going to use a cup of water. Just want to use a small amount of hot water to steep your tea in, so we can go a little quicker. Now that you've let your tea steep for at least 5 minutes, you're going to strain the tea leaves or remove your tea bags if you're using tea bags. And then you're going to stir in your honey. Again, I'm making a quart-sized batch, so I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of honey and stir it in. Now that you've stirred your honey into your tea concentrate, you'll want to dilute the tea concentrate to full tea strength using either pre-boiled and refrigerated water or cold filtered water. So you don't want the tea to be too hot to put the Scoby in. Next, you will stir in your reserved starter tea or the liquid from your Scoby jar if you're just getting started on your very first batch. The starter tea will help acidify your sweet tea, so it won't grow mold before it has a chance to brew. Now that you're going to bottle the kombucha from your brewing container, I like to use tight sealing beer bottles that are darker colored, or else if you use clear bottles, you just need to make sure they're not in the direct sun. Put a funnel in, don't use aluminum, and I like to use a little strainer, but that is not necessary. You want to fill your bottle to within an inch of the top. And then you will also want to put some kombucha in a test bottle. The test bottle purpose is so that you can squeeze it and tell when it's ready. It'll be creating bubbles in the next brew, and you can leave this by your sink and just squeeze it every day, and that way you'll know it's done. At this point, you can add flavoring to your kombucha. I'm using dried strawberries, but you can use fresh or dried fruit, non-citrus, and just put in 1 or 2 teaspoons of flavoring per bottle if desired. It's not necessary. And I like to put some actually in my test bottle too, just a little bit, just so that it will bubble at the same rate as my glass bottle, since it's supposed to be a test. And then seal your bottle up tightly. And seal your test bottle tightly also. This is the test bottle that's already been sitting on the counter, and you can see I can barely squeeze it. So this batch that goes with this test bottle is ready to be put in the refrigerator. And you don't want to leave it out of the refrigerator or it will explode. Now we're ready to start the next brew cycle. I would ordinarily use the same container and continuously brew, but I'm going to use a clear container so you can see what I'm putting in there. I'm putting in there the sweet tea with the starter tea mixed in, and it's basically room temperature. And then I will float the SCOBY on the top with the white shiny side up, the way it was floating originally. That's the baby on the top. It's okay if it floats sideways or sinks. It'll work itself out on its own. You want to separate your SCOBY when it gets to be an inch thick. Just pull off the top half an inch layers and use those for your new brew and give the bottom part to a friend. This brew needs to be covered with a muslin cloth or a coffee filter, not cheesecloth, because you don't want fruit flies to get in there. Cover it like that and leave it on your counter. Start checking it. This is a small brew, so I would want to start checking it after 1 day. You can use any wide mouth glass or stainless steel food grade container. You need to have a wide mouth so that you can get your SCOBY in and out. And have a small quart size wide mouth container, your SCOBY will be that size. So you want to leave this out of direct sunlight on your countertop until it tastes to be pleasantly tart. The brew time factors are the thickness of the SCOBY, the size of the batch, the temperature of the room, the age of the SCOBY, whether it's the mother or the baby, the activity level of the SCOBY, whether it's been dormant, if your friend gave it to you and they separated it a couple weeks ago, that one will take a little longer to get going. Next, I like to use a window marker to write the date or the day on my bottles. So I'll know that this bottle goes with this bottle. And this one I can leave on a shelf, and I can put the test bottle right by the counter and squeeze it every once in a while. To rest your SCOBY, if you are going on vacation, you can just leave your batch that's made. I would put it in a quart-sized jar with the food and just leave it on the counter, and it will rest. It will eat the food, and then it will pretty much go to vinegar. You won't want to drink it when you're done, but you can use it as starter tea, and it will on the counter. Okay, that's everything you need to know on how to make your Jun Kombucha. You have your first brew in your aerobic brew in your brew jar on the counter, 1 to 6 days, and once it's going, it'll be 1 to 3 days. And then your second brew in a bottle to get it bubbly. That's the anaerobic brew, and that will take 3 or 4 days on the counter or until your test bottle is hard. And that's all you need to know to speed yours SCOBY, the sweet green tea with honey, and give it a little flavoring and you'll be good to go.